Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC Vegas 47. And, I'm always honest with you guys on this channel, and this fight card as a whole leaves a lot to be desired. There's not a bunch of compelling matchups on this fight card outside of the main event, but there is one fight on the main card between two up-and-coming welterweight prospects that I am particularly excited for, and that is Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlston Harris. And this video is going to be my full breakdown and prediction of this welterweight fight. I'll also be doing a full breakdown and prediction of the main event, Sean Strickland versus Jack Hermansson. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you turn on notifications because that video will be coming very soon. So if you look at the tail of the tape, Shavkat Rakhmonov is 27 years old, Carlston Harris is 34. Shavkat is 6'1", Harris is 6 foot. Shavkat has a 77-inch reach, while Harris has a 76-inch reach. So a little bit of a height advantage, a little bit of a reach advantage for Shavkat, but a massive youth advantage for Shavkat. He is 7 years younger than Carlston Harris. Now, if you look at Carlston Harris, he comes into this fight on a 5-fight win streak, 2 of those being in the UFC. He made his UFC debut in May of 2021 against Christian Aguilera. And in this fight, he showed a lot. He faced a little bit of adversity. He was stung by a nasty uppercut early. He clinched up, recovered, and then went back to outstriking Aguilera. And in this fight, he ends up rocking him. Aguilera shoots on a takedown, and he snatches up an anaconda choke and submits him in the first round. Great performance. His next fight was against Impa Kasanganay. And, Impa, I think, is a decent win for him. I know he's no longer in the UFC. I know he got highlight reeled, spinning back kick KO'd by Joaquin Buckley. But I still think this is a quality win for his second win within the UFC. And in this fight, he won this fight primarily on the feet. He rocked Impa on the feet, followed him to the ground, and TKO'd him with strikes, heavy strikes on the ground, and gets another first-round finish. Now, if you look over at Shavkat Rakhmonov, there is a lot of hype around this guy. And I do understand it. He is 14-0 in MMA. He's never lost an MMA fight. And he is 2-0 within the UFC. So this is perfect matchmaking for the UFC. Two guys who are up-and-coming welterweight prospects. Both guys have 2 wins within the UFC. And I think this is a very compelling matchup. Now, if you look at Shavkat Rakhmonov's debut, he made his debut against Alex Cowboy Oliveira, who was overweight. He could not make weight, so he was a bigger fighter. And I think this is a crazy quality opponent to debut against. Alex Oliveira is no easy win. So that just goes to show how much the UFC matchmakers, how they look at Shavkat and his potential skill level. And he went into this fight and he made it look relatively easy. I think he only took really 1 clean punch in this fight. He was able to land some good strikes on Alex Oliveira. Alex Oliveira eventually clinches up with him, is like holding him against the cage, and he's shown some good things in this fight. He was digging underhooks, he was defending takedowns from Oliveira, and eventually Oliveira gets caught out of position, and Shavkat locks up a guillotine choke in the first round. It was towards the end of the first round, and he pulls guard, close guard, does not let Alex Oliveira escape, and taps him out in that first round. Then in his next fight, and this was his most recent fight, in June of 2021, he fought Michel Prazeres. And in this fight, it was a quality win, and he showed a lot of skills. But before I even talk about what went down in this fight, Prazeres is a guy that's a known cheater. Since this fight happened, he's been caught again for PEDs by USADA, and he has since been handed a 4-year ban. So not only did Shavkat get an impressive win here, he beat a guy that was definitely cheating. And I know we can make the argument, oh, there's probably a lot of guys cheating, but this guy was caught. This guy was jacked as anything. Shavkat went out there and made it look impressive. And in this fight, he showed everything. He showed the ability to adapt because Prazeres was throwing heavy leg kicks. He started to check them and avoid them. In this fight, he showed dynamic striking. I'll talk about the finish in a minute with a wheel kick that he used to end up setting up the rear naked choke, which is just crazy to even say that sentence. He showed good takedown defense. He showed good clinch work. He showed good trips of his own. First round, he outstruck Prazeres, was able to take him down, beat him up with some solid ground and pound. Then in the second round, towards I think the halfway point of the round, he lands a nasty wheel kick that rocks Prazeres, then follows it in with a step-in knee. And he used this also in the Alex Oliveira fight. He has a great step-in knee to the body, and it's just brutal. He lands that. Prazeres looks for the takedown. There ends up being a scramble. Shavkat lands some nasty ground and pound on the ground, and then eventually locks up a rear naked choke. And it's not like he had both hooks in. He only had one hook in, locks in the rear naked choke, and submits Michel Prazeres. And this was a quality win where he showed a lot of techniques. The spinning wheel kick, the step-in knee to the body, which he's shown before. He showed good takedown defense. Prazeres was trying to clinch him up against the cage, hold him up against the cage, and also take him down, and it's just not work out for Michel at all in this fight. And I think when you look at the Carlston Harris versus Shavkat Rakhmonov fight, I think Carlston Harris, his best game plan is to come in and kick the legs. You know, Shavkat is a little bit flat-footed on that lead leg, and also press him against the cage, look to control him in the clinch, and look for takedowns and control in the ground. Because if you really look at any weakness in his first two fights, Prazeres was able to land those nasty leg kicks, and also in both fights, there was some control time where they were able to control him in the clinch up against the fence with his back against the cage. And I think that's the best avenue to victory for Carlston Harris. Now, as far as my official prediction, I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to win via second round TKO. I think, Carlston Harris will come in, press him against the cage, but he won't be able to control him there to enough to eke out rounds. And I know Carlston Harris has some heavy hands. He showed them in the Impa fight as well as the Aguilera fight. But I think Shavkat is technical enough. And I know it's early. It's too early to tell just how good he is. But he's shown that he's so well-rounded. He has nice technical striking. He has a nice jab. He has a nice straight right. And I think he'll be able to dodge those looping punches. It's not like this is a guy that's super defensively irresponsible. He has great striking defense. I think he'll be able to avoid the big shots of Carlston Harris. Now, what I worry about a little bit with this prediction, because I think this is a very close fight, I worry about is the grappling, the clinches, the takedowns of Carlston Harris going to set up the hands of Carlston Harris. But I think Shavkat's going to be confident enough in his takedown ability, confident in his dirty boxing, confident in his ability to reverse the position in the clinch and disengage. And I think he'll be confident enough where he will be able to outstrike Carlston Harris. And I really believe in this fight, he will be just the better striker. I think that both guys are super well-rounded, but I just think Carlston Harris is just a little bit too sloppy on the feet. He kind of rushes in, throwing these wild looping punches. And I think Shavkat is just too technical for him. I think he's going to have too good of an ability to stuff the takedowns. And I think he'll be able to land that big shot, rock him, follow him to the ground, and TKO him with ground and pound strikes. I think this will happen in the second round. I think the first round will be very close. This fight will majority factor on Shavkat's ability to disengage out of that clinch, because I know Carlston Harris is going to come in here, look to press him up against the cage, take him down and control him and eke out rounds. I really think that's the way he's going to try to win the fight, and also chop the legs, just because Shavkat has shown that he's heavy on that lead leg. I think that's kind of the playbook for Carlston Harris to win the fight, but I think Shavkat will address that. He's shown he has a high fight IQ. He's shown he has a killer instinct in both of his fights in the UFC against decent level competition. And I know neither one of these guys have ever fought like super high level elite competition, but again, they've only had 2 fights in the UFC. So I think this is a perfect progression for either guy. If Carlston Harris can get a win over a guy like Shavkat, that'll be massive. And then if Shavkat can get a win over Carlston Harris, I think that'll be a quality win. And I think that'll be a next step maybe to a top 15 opponent. He's looked super impressive now in 2 fights. And then if he wins this fight impressively, I think it'll be time to see him against the top 15 opponent. And I can't wait for this fight. I think it's a super compelling fight. Again, Shavkat Rakhmonov, second round TKO. He lands on the feet, follows him to the ground, lands some nasty ground and pound. The ref steps in. He's shown it in the Michel Prazeres fight. He had great pinpoint accuracy and heavy ground and pound. He was really picking his shots. Some guys just throw wild and crazy, miss half of them. They look strong and powerful, but they just miss half of them. Shavkat has shown he will pick his ground and pound shots, and I think that's how he will win the fight, after rocking him with some nice technical straight punches on the feet. And also, again, he's shown he has a variety of attack. He showed the spinning wheel kick in the Prazeres fight. He showed, the step-in knee to the body in both his UFC fights. But I think this is a super compelling fight. I think it's 2 interesting welterweight prospects. I would not be surprised if either guy won, but I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is just going to be too good for Carlston Harris in this fight at UFC Vegas 47. Guys, let me know in the comments, who do you think is going to win this welterweight fight? Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.